Pro is an important prefix, with a couple of quite different broad meanings. In this section, we'll look at words in which pro has the basic meaning for or favoring. Everyone knows words like pro-democracy and pro-American, but other pro words may not be quite so self-explanatory. Proactive acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. Our president prides himself on being proactive, and is always imagining situations the company might be facing in 3 or 4 years. People who tend to react to a problem only when it's gotten serious could be called reactive people. Until recently, reactive, in this sense, didn't really have an antonym. So proactive was coined to describe the kind of person who's always looking into the future in order to be prepared for anything. A good parent attempts to be proactive on behalf of his or her children, trying to imagine the problems they might be facing in a few months or years. A company's financial officers study the patterns of the company's earnings to make sure it won't risk running short of cash at any point in the next year or two. Proactive has only been around a few decades, and it can still sometimes sound like a fashionable buzzword. Pro bono being involved in or doing professional work, and especially legal work, donated for the public good. The law firm allows her to do several hours of pro bono work every week, and she devotes it to helping poor immigrant families. In Latin, pro bono publico means for the public good. In English, we generally shorten the phrase to pro bono. Donating free legal help to those who need it has long been a practice of American law firms. The American Bar Association actually recommends that all lawyers donate 50 hours a year. Pro bono work is sometimes donated by non-legal firms as well. For example, an advertising firm might produce a 60-second video for an environmental or educational organization, or a strategic planning firm might prepare a startup plan for a charity that funds shelters for battered women. Proponent: one who argues in favor of something. Advocate: the new governor is a proponent of a longer school year, and he's gotten a lot of support from parents. Proponent comes from the same Latin word as propose, so a proponent is someone who proposes something, or at least supports it by speaking and writing in favor of it. Thus, for example, proponents of casinos argue that they create jobs, whereas proponents of a casino ban, that is, casino opponents, argue that they're corrupting and they take money away from people who can't afford it. As a rule, just about anything important that gets proposed also gets opposed. Pro forma: done or existing as something that is required but that has little true meaning or importance. The letter she received from him after her husband's death struck her as pro forma, and she knew the old friendship between the two men had never really been repaired. A lot of things are done for the sake of appearances. A teacher might get officially observed and evaluated every 3 years, even though everyone knows she's terrific and the whole thing is strictly pro forma. A critic might say that orchestral conductor gave a pro forma performance since his heart wasn't in it. A business owner might make a pro forma appearance at the funeral of a politician's mother, never having met her but maybe hoping for a favor from her son sometime in the future. In business, pro forma has some special meanings. A pro forma invoice, for example, will list all the items being sent but, unlike a true invoice, won't be an actual bill. Pro, in its other broad meaning, means before, in front of. So, for example, to proceed means to move out in front, to progress means to move forward, and somebody prominent stands out, as if he or she were actually standing out in front of the crowd. Protrude: to jut out from the surrounding surface or context. As he leaned over, she noticed something protruding from under his jacket, and realized, with a sickening feeling, that he was armed. Since trudere means to thrust in Latin, protrude means basically to thrust forward. If your neighbor's patio protrudes over your property boundary, you may want to discuss it with them. A protruding disc in your spine may have to be operated on sooner or later. Superficial protrusions, such as corns or bunions, tend to be less serious than more deeply rooted ones. Prophylaxis: measures designed to preserve health and prevent the spread of disease. For rabies, prophylaxis in the form of vaccines for cats and dogs is much better than treating them after being bitten. In Greek, phylax means guard, so prophylactic measures guard against disease by taking action ahead of time. Thus, for example, before the polio vaccine became available, prophylaxis against polio included avoiding crowds and public swimming pools. These days, a well-known kind of prophylactic is used to prevent sexually transmitted diseases, but prophylactic measures only work when people use them. Promulgate: 1. To proclaim or make public. 2. To put a law into effect. The country's new constitution was officially promulgated in a grand ceremony at the presidential palace. All laws need to be made public in some way so that citizens may know if they're in danger of breaking them. Since they can't be expected to go into effect until the population knows they exist, promulgate has the two meanings proclaim and put into effect. In ancient Greece and Rome, when most people couldn't read, a new written law would actually be proclaimed in a public place. We've all seen such scenes in historical movies. But today, promulgation of a law generally occurs simply by its being published in an official government publication and on a government website. New laws are also often reported in newspapers and on TV, though rarely in complete form. Prologue: 1. An introduction to a literary work. 2. An introductory event or development. The Boston Tea Party of 1773 turned out to be a prologue to the American Revolution. In ancient Greek drama, the prologos, a word that means basically speaking before, was the opening portion of the play, before the entry of the all-important chorus. It might be spoken by a single actor, maybe playing a god, who would set the scene for the audience. Playwrights today instead often provide the same kind of scene-setting information through dialogue near the play's beginning. In movies, it may appear, as in the Star Wars series, in the form of actual written text. In a non-fiction book, the lead-in is now usually called a preface or introduction. Novels rarely provide any introduction at all. Still, prologue remains a useful word for non-literary purposes. The saying "the past is prologue" tells us that, in real life, almost everything can be a prologue to what follows it.